Hello to everyone listening, watching, and above all to my sexy at 60 ladies in front of me. I'm Gule Cortes, founder of Gule Swordsit, providing operational business support, and I am totally passionate about managing your back office so you can focus on what you do best. Welcome to the show again, session 3, where we are celebrating and sharing a diversity of stories to empower women around the globe that we at the age of 60 are still thriving. So what will we bring to you tonight? In tonight's session 3, we will be covering the topic work and contribution. The last two sessions you might have missed and you might want to go back and see are session 1 was we talked about taking risks and personal growth, and session 2 was all about overcoming challenges. Some very bright, great, lovely stories we all must see. Now, as you might have noticed, there is normally 6 here, 6 wonderful guests, but our lovely Diane Daniels can't be here with us today. But as a surprise, at the end of the session, we have her pre-recorded story that we can share with you. So I want to introduce you to our lovely guest and sexy ladies here in front of me. And we are going to be talking about also a reflection of the last session. The last session was overcoming challenges, and what I took away from that is, again, that, talking about one subject, how we can get 6 totally different versions. Myself, I've really thought about overcoming challenges in the last week and really pushed myself and challenged myself to keep talking from the heart and be who I am. So I'm really learning from that, which I'm really excited about to keep sharing with you. So let me just introduce you to, I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves and also to give us a reflection on what they brought back with them from the last session. So let me hand over to Chris first of all. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Guler. Thank you so much for everything you're doing on this wonderful podcast. Wonderful, sexy at 60. It's so exciting to be here. I really appreciate it. I think what I walked away from the past 2 times is the tremendous courage and the variety of stories and how people have overcome adversity and have risen and persevered through a lot of challenges. So I really am grateful to be part of this wonderful group because amazing women here. And it's really great to be a part of that. I am an ADHD coach and dyslexic coach. That is my passion. I love working with teens, and that's my specialty, and working with their families, and also helping educators how to navigate with children with these diagnoses. I've been doing that for 22 years. I've been working with teens for 35. So love that, my true passion. Okay, I'd like to introduce Tracy and go ahead. I'd love for you to share who you are and what you walked away from, and also what are you looking forward to this week?
Hi, Chris. Thank you, Chris, and hello, everybody. It's nice to be here. What am I looking forward to this week? Well, I do have a date with a man tomorrow night who's got big muscles, so I do have something to look forward to, but as I've never met him before, all I know about him is he seems nice and he's got big muscles, so I'm looking forward to that. But even more so, maybe spending some time with my son later on in the week. Maybe I'm looking forward to that even more. Yes, so I'm Tracy, and I teach media and film in a sixth form college. Again, working with teens, some of whom have ADHD, etc. So Chris and I have something in common there. Yeah, I've really enjoyed the last couple of weeks, just getting to know the ladies here. We've all overcome massive challenges, but for sure we've had fun along the way too, which is important. It's not all just been doom and gloom. We've had really rich and fulfilling lives, I'm sure. Okay, so that's me, and I'm happy to introduce the wonderful Nikki to you now. Over to Nikki.
Thank you so much, Tracy, and thank you, Gula, for this opportunity. My name is Nikki, and one of the things I do is I help women take a step forward and show up better in their career, to build their presence at work, which translates also to at home as well. In our last session, I learned that we are all very, very different, but we have a couple of things in common. We are resilient, we are agile, and we are strong. It also seems that we all lean into our tribes and our friends in a great way to overcome challenges. And I can see that this group of ladies who are sexy at 60 are going to become another one of my tribes that I can lean into. With that, I'm handing over to you, Sheila.
Oh, thank you so much, Nikki, and hi everyone. Thank you, Gula, for having me on this amazing journey that we're having together. I feel very, very grateful to be part of this group. So, like Nikki said, I'm Sheila. I'm a chemotherapy nurse at one of the largest leading cancer hospitals in the UK. I just love helping people. I'm also a business coach and mentor in health and well-being. So my passion to help others is what led me to do what I do. And currently I'm helping people as well by promoting, self-love and healthy lifestyle by using natural products. So my takeaway from our last session, which was overcoming challenges, is that, and I've been thinking really hard about that as well. It's just that, what we think is becomes our reality, and that's just stuck with me. But just having a positive attitude is the best way to do this, and just to never give up. So that was my takeaway from last week. And give it back to Gula. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Wonderful. I'm glad it's still fresh in our memories last week. And so what we like to do now is, of course, give you a story about work, our own story about work and contributions. And of course, we're all looking at that in different ways. So I'm very excited to hear everyone's story for the week. And let's start now with the question, and hope, Chris, I'm going to pass on to you with a question first. What are you looking forward to doing this week?
Well, my parents are having their anniversary this Friday. It's not a big number, but the fact that they've been together in the 40s, 40 years in a second marriage is wonderful. So I'm looking forward to that and being with them. So yeah, I'm really excited. Milestones like this are really important, especially after COVID, and appreciating, that I have my parents. And so, yeah, really happy about that.
That's lovely.
Okay. So I wanted to share with you about work and contribution. And I always take a look at, the big picture. And when I noticed for me, especially after graduation, there's cycles of working and then contributing. And of course, this isn't for everybody, but I noticed for myself that, in your 20s, you're putting in a lot of hard hours. You want to please the boss. You have your degree. You want to show that you're worthy, and this takes over, and you can work the 60-hour work weeks and all of that. And then as you've been married and then a kid or two pops in your life, then there's shifting that happens. And what I started noticing in my 30s was the negative, the gossip, the poor communication styles, the poor leadership, just the way organizations were starting to work. And I really didn't like that. So what I started to do, I worked for a tutoring company when my daughter was a baby. She was 1. And it was 3 hours, first hour math, second hour reading, third hour writing. But that's where my business got born. So it was all basically what I call drill and kills. The kids come in, they just need a little brush up. And there was one time when this young man came in, and he was the only one. Usually I had 3 at a table, and he came in and he was struggling. And so what I did in that moment, because he wasn't getting it, he started to cry, I took everything, pushed it off the table, and I said, "What's going on?" So he started sharing with me, and I started asking him questions and inquiring, what is your struggle? And then I put together a lesson plan. So that moment, and then that same week, my bosses left to go to a conference, and they put me in charge of the center. Those 2 combinations, I'm like, I'm going to do my own tutoring business. This is what I want to do. And I wanted to work specifically with kids who are struggling. So ADHD and dyslexia. And that's how I came into that. So the 40s were a huge shift for me. 50s is where I started contributing to society, doing community work, and I even got my daughter involved. I've mentioned last time I've done Relay for Life. I was also a Seroptimist, which stands for Strong for Women. I was part of that organization. I did something called Lunch Buddies, where I go to an elementary school and was assigned a specific girl and just kind of being her little mentor. And she was 3rd grade. But that's when I started doing that. It wasn't enough for me to just have my spot in the world, and making money. I wanted to move and pay it forward and do more things. And what I loved is that through the breast cancer and through Relay, I was helping teenagers how to think outside themselves, because teens are very self-centered, focused, but it's like, hey, how can you make a difference? So I love that. And so I find that in your 50s, it's like, what is your purpose? And what is your dream? Has anybody ever asked you what your dream is? And maybe it's not doing the 40, 50 hours, and maybe some people are CEOs or whatever, but they're stuck. And I always ask yourself, what is your passion? What do you want to do? At the end of the day, I love that I have made a difference with families and with teenagers, and that I'm giving them hope. And that to me is better than any big fancy position. In the beginning years, you want to, throw in all those huge hours, and you have to lay a foundation. But then as time goes by, you look at your purpose and what you want. So that is my story. And I would like to pass this off now to Tracy, and please share your story.
Now you can hear me. Sorry, my clicking wasn't working today. Okay, so work and contribution in my world. Okay, well, I think it's so important to have work where you feel you can contribute. Even if you have the most boring job in the world, I think if you just smile at people, engage with people, make them happy, you are contributing. But I must say, I have been lucky enough to have a really interesting and fulfilling career in teaching. And it really does help you learn, grow and develop, as well as helping others to learn, grow and develop. My job's really boring, often frustrating, but even at my age now, I pursue it with a passion. For me, job satisfaction is always giving my best, always striving to improve and to make a contribution to the lives of others. My current position is teaching media and film studies in a sixth form college on a part-time basis. I don't think it's possible to be a full-time teacher anymore and have a life. I wouldn't recommend it as a job unless you can do it part-time. Many teachers are burnt out and are looking to move into new professions. And I think it's important just for everybody really, just to take stock and just look, well, what skills do I have? What do I have to offer? Yeah, you know, and look at what other fields you could contribute in as well. So you're not just stuck in one place. So I'm just going to explore teaching. We have a huge amount of transferable skills. We're able to research and absorb a huge amount of information. Select what is important, simplify and represent in an engaging format. In the subject I teach, media, we do a study of newspaper articles on Brexit, which I have to explain to 16-year-old students who know nothing about politics. Why is it that Theresa May couldn't get that Brexit deal? How do you make something so complex, easy, interesting and digestible? And then how do you get the students to be able to answer questions on such a difficult subject in their own words? We work to extremely tight deadlines. Everyone in business knows the stress of delivering an important presentation. Teachers can deliver 3, 4, 5, 6 different presentations all in one day, all on different topics and to different age groups. We cannot start late and we have very little time to prepare, and we have to be very organized to achieve this. We have to perform, because if we don't, our audience is unforgiving. We have to be acutely aware of what's going on in the room at all times. Our audience is unpredictable, and sometimes our audience does not want to be there. Our audience can have hangovers, and we have to sell our subjects day in and day out. Good teachers are like the best salespeople. We can take something that young people find boring, encourage them to learn about it, to do homework on the subject and to find out more. A good teacher knows how to use a range of techniques to engage different personalities and different abilities. In our classes, we have extroverts and introverts, the academic and the struggler, the disenfranchised and the ambitious. Many young people are anxious. They come to class having not eaten or slept. Others are autistic. Others have behavioural issues. We have no choice as to what's on the syllabus. I teach late night woman's hour podcasts to teenage boys. It takes a lot of imagination, creativity and energy to capture young minds on this topic. Teachers always have to be alert and think on their feet. Anything can happen in class. A student can be triggered and have a meltdown. The activities we've planned may not work. A student might say something inappropriate, get upset or upset others. And pretty frequently the IT will go down. Or in one of my lessons when I was screening Pulp Fiction, I had a student faint after watching the hypodermic needle scene. A colleague of mine even once had a student who decided to urinate in the class waste paper bin. Whatever happens, we have to react in a calm and measured way and find a way to solve issues and keep the show on the road when everything inside feels chaotic. Nowadays, teachers have to take on roles more akin to police, social workers and counsellors. We have to entertain as well as educate. A good teacher has integrity, commitment and dedication. And finally, every single one of us should take time out to really appreciate the skills we've gained over the years and what we have to contribute to the wider world. So that's it. That's me done on teaching. And now I'm going to move you across to Nikki, and she will be sharing her story with you. Thank you very much, everyone.
And before Nikki starts, Nikki's question, what she's looking forward to doing this week.
Thank you so much, Tracy. You made us all smile. I'm really looking forward to this time next week. I will be getting on an aeroplane to travel to the UK to see my mum. So that's something that is probably the most exciting thing that has happened to me this year in terms of travel. To my story about work and contribution, I don't have a university degree. And when I left school, I didn't really have a clue about what I wanted to do. I did study part-time after that, and I studied marketing. And I'm very blessed that I found a really great opportunity somehow or other. And mostly over the last 40 years, I have loved my career in market research, analytics, and better understanding why consumers, people like you and me, like the things we like, buy the things that we buy, and just do everything differently from one another. I've become a little bit of a thought leader in my area of expertise, and I thought about it over the years. I have been quoted in the press, been interviewed on national TV and radio, and people have sat up and listened to my opinion. But in addition at work, I've also always done stretch projects. If they ever asked for somebody to do something different, I would always be the one who put up my hand. At the last company that I worked for, I represented WIN, which stood for Women in Nielsen, in the company that I worked for in the entire African continent. I currently am the co-chairperson of the company I work for's Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion program in the Middle East, Turkey, and Africa region. And I also co-facilitate a leadership exchange program, which helps relatively new people at work who are managing people help themselves with people challenges that they may have. So my work life is quite full, but it's never enough. So what else do I do? Well, about 13 years ago, I discovered an organization called Toastmasters. Firstly, because I wanted to meet somebody, possibly a man, but also somebody told me that I talked too much, and Toastmasters was a great place for people who talked a lot. But actually, I found a place that was really empowering, and it gave me the opportunity to learn and grow further and give back what I had learned. It culminated in Southern Africa about 3 years ago, where I led 4,000 members in 200 or more clubs across Southern Africa. And this year at Toastmasters, I am advising the senior leadership in Middle Eastern Africa in 40 countries. And all of that is volunteer work, but I really do feel that I'm contributing to the growth of individuals. And it is something that is sadly lacking in the African continent specifically. Finally, as I've mentioned, I love to empower women, particularly young women. And there's just one thing that I'm grateful for about the pandemic that hit us 2.5 years ago. I met our next door neighbors who normally I would have just walked past them with my blinkers on because I was too busy. But there were 2 little girls living next door. At the time, one of them was barely a year old and the other was 6. Their names are Omogolo and Olarata. They recently moved out, but over the 2 years that they lived here during lockdown, Steve and I came to be known as Auntie Nikki and Uncle Steve. And we taught them so many things that their parents didn't teach them. We taught them about gardening. We taught them about planting vegetables and flowers, how to water them and make them grow. We taught them about feeding the 20 different types of birds in our garden, seeds for some, sugar water for others, and fruit for others. We taught them to identify the birds. We bought books on wild animals in Africa so that we could teach them things that they weren't learning about from school or from their parents. Steve taught them to play guitar. Yes, the opening chords of Smoke on the Water. We also helped them, their parents, who are both really busy, and work really hard to support their new growing family. We help fetch and carry them. Sometimes now we take them to hockey or netball lessons and occasionally to school, although that does challenge my navigational abilities because almost every time I have to drive one of them to school, I get lost. It really is an absolute pleasure to help all of the people that I've helped and support. And it does mean that half the time I don't know where I'm going to find time to take on the next project, but I do. And I will always continue to find time to take on the next project because it will challenge me and it will help grow and develop somebody else, whether it's at work, at home, at school, or at play. And now over to you, Gula. What are you looking forward to this week?
Thank you, Nikki. Amazing. I love it. I loved how very similar our stories are, and it's incredible. What am I looking forward to this week? Well, it's Queen's Jubilee in London, and I'm going to meet my friends at the palace. But no, it's not Buckingham Palace. It's Crystal Palace. And I really like, Crystal Palace is such a lovely little village south of London. And we've got such a lovely community spirit. And I'm sure I'll be there the whole day, meeting shop owners, meeting people who live in the area. So we'll all just be celebrating. Because I think, 70 years, Queen Elizabeth, well done to you. Amazing. I know I won't be able to do that. Maybe in my next life. But okay, going to talk about working contributions. So as I said, it's very similar to Nikki. Because I've not really been given a lot of support in my education. I remember the time when I had to resit a year 3 in secondary year. In Holland, we always have to resit our year. You don't just automatically go through with bad marks. The reason I had bad marks was that I was just enjoying myself with my best friend. And in those days, you could skive really well. They didn't have those massive big gates up and locked you in. We used to skive off. But of course, when I didn't pass that year, my father was like, and she's going to work. But thankfully, my mum said, no, let's take her to another school where I just totally excelled and was doing really, really well. But then tried to continue. But then with the divorce of my parents, we ended up in a different city. Then I had to go back again. And I just, school just didn't happen. But very quickly, I sussed out that I can teach myself, I can learn, I can go to evening schools and start working. I was already working at the age of 14, cleaning offices, which was quite fun to do, and running around with lottery tickets, the football tickets, go meet people who want to do their tickets. So you pick it up and pass it on. So I was always quite early on busy. And then started my career working in a little supermarket during school as well. And that's when I suddenly noticed that I loved numbers and I loved organizing things and helping everyone. So when my boss rang me after school, it's like, Kule, can you please come over and cash up, please, all the tills? And I'm like, yeah, why not? So, and it just proved that, when you are always helpful, it does show, and people might say, why do you always do that, and why are you always so helpful? But it's just my nature, and I like to help, because I personally think if you help in whichever capacity, you grow, you learn, you get new opportunities served onto your plate, and people start trusting you. So when my work career started in retail, I had the most fantastic time, and like a lot of people, I noticed that you had to grab whatever came your way and make something of it. And I always had this image that we don't need to stay in this little cubicle you've been placed. It's like, okay, you may sit in a little cubicle and you've got those little responsibilities, but you're not going anywhere if you don't get out of it or take something on. And I remember through the years in retail, people are saying, well, I want more money. And I said, well, the only way you're going to get that is if you show what you can do, get out of that little square of yours, come out and show some other skills you can do. And that really helped me, because that sort of upskilled me as, as a person, and also in all my transferable skills throughout. So 25 years retail, 15 years of project management. But funny enough, it all sort of worked in itself upwards somehow. And it all goes back to that little girl who was always organizing the cupboard for her sister. We had a cupboard with clothes, and everything was all neat and color order and size order as much as possible. So I was always organizing things and then trying to teach her. And it was so funny. Years later, when she was living on her own, she said, Kula, come and see my cupboard. Look how beautiful my towels are stacked. and I thought, well, it's beautiful that, she took something away from that. But yeah, so that's my whole career life. But also what's prominent in there is that I have never felt in any job I've done that I didn't want to be there, that I just came to work to get my money and go. I've always come in with a big smile and be excited what the day would bring, what new opportunities I would get and could give. And in retail, when I was managing stores, it was so nice also to see how I could support all the staff. And my director was like, well, why do you spend so much time with the staff, teaching them and learning? And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, they are your investment. So we've got to, you've got to give something back to gain again as a company as well. So I could see that quite early on. Same with customer service. People are talking about it now, but 30 years ago I was screaming. It's like, customer service is so important. It doesn't matter the person doesn't buy from you today, but you being nice and listen to them if they want to be listened to, they will come back and buy from you. So I always used to love my jobs, and wasn't it because I had to move up north, I would still be in the job I was at before I left for Yorkshire and started my career on my own, because there's always so many more opportunities. And we can say, well, the traveling, but there's something you can do about it. The traveling around London, 2 hours up, 2 hours back. I thought, okay, after 2.5 years, I thought, well, that is a bit too much. Maybe I need to do something about it. So what did I, instead of saying, okay, well, I'm not going to work for the company, because it was a good company to work for. We had good fun with the colleagues. We were all growing, learning. I made a decision just to go and rent a room around the corner from work. So I stayed there from Monday to Friday and went home in the weekend. So at least I gave time back to myself. So I had a bit more time for myself rather than sitting in the traffic. So there's always a way around that. So you can make your work balanced within your own life as well. And then, of course, this all rolls into Toastmasters, and Nikki's just given the whole spiel about Toastmasters, so I won't go into it too much. But I joined about 6 years ago, and my whole reason I wanted to join was just to network with people. And then once I knew what the whole concept of Toastmaster was, I thought, okay, this is the right platform for me now to start learning to speak more openly, flowery, more, because I was so black and white a lot of the time. And Toastmasters has shown me to be, shine my words, and things can blossom, and they can be beautifully pink, orange, yellow, any color. So that is a really nice journey of Toastmasters, and I've taken on the area director role for 4 clubs in our area in South London, and at the same time I'm a sponsor for a club in North Yorkshire. We are soon to be chartering as a real club. We're looking for 3 more members, so anyone in the audience watching, or my sexy ladies here, if you're interested, we will charter this year that club. So yeah, it's just giving back, and again, like everyone else is talking about as well, it's not always about the money. You've got to have fun on the way, and I just love it. And it was so nice this weekend. We met up with the Tribe Sisters of Mildred as well, and it was great. It's so nice to really meet the people face to face you've been in contact with on LinkedIn for so long. And again, it's giving there, and there is plenty of time, and you can always make a bit of time. You shift and change and work things slightly differently. It does work. And like I say, Kula sorts it. We always sort it. Well, that's all from me now. And I love to hand over to Sheila with the question as well. What will you be doing this week?
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Kula. So I hope you'll be able to hear me properly. My internet, for some reason, is a bit unstable this evening. But thank you. So this weekend, I'm actually looking forward to celebrating our son's 33rd birthday. It's on Saturday. So yeah, so it will be first barbecue of this summer, spring summer. It's been so cold lately. But yeah, so we're looking forward. We're hoping we have a good weather for that. So we've got a few friends and family coming. So yeah. So thank you about that, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story this evening on work and contribution. So yeah, so when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a nurse, and because I so want to help people. That's my passion, and nursing was certainly going to give me that opportunity. I thought, and it's proved me right. So my passion for helping people started when I was a little girl. I was raised by my grandmother, and I watched my grandmother almost every day helping people in the village. Almost everybody. I don't know. I thought everybody came to her for this and that, for advice, and for even salt and cooking oil and things like that. So, and I was so in awe. I just admired that, and that's where my passion started of wanting to help people. So I also believe that being a nurse would give me a stable job, and also maybe long-term financial stability. That's what I thought. So as soon as my career took off, I realized that nurses have a unique perspective and understanding of how precious life is. So we make a difference in every single day in people's lives, at least in someone's life, no matter how big or small. We are always I like to say a light in the lives of our patients, especially in the darkness, and also we being their guide and hope So always there for them, to comfort them when they're in pain, and even sometimes when they have sorrow as well. So I've had the greatest privilege in my life. So I've nursed all my life since I was 21. That's been my only job. So, and I never took it lightly. I've done all kinds of nursing, all kinds, including being a midwife and school nursing. So I've tried it all. I know I've touched a lot of people's lives, especially right now in the area that I work as a chemotherapy nurse. So I get to know my patients and their family very, very, very well, because I see them regularly during their chemo sessions. They come regularly. And I enjoy the rapport that I do have with them, and they, we build like some sort of relationship, and they become more willing to share their experiences with me. They start feeling more relaxed, and at the same time, I think it does help them to cope with their treatment, because it can be really, really difficult. So I go on their cancer journeys with them. We celebrate good news together. Sadly, I've also attended a few funerals as well. So I definitely love my job because of the interaction that I have in oncology. It's really different compared to the other areas of nursing. And I've gained so many skills over the years that have made me the competent nurse that I am today. So it is true when they say that most nurses suffer from acute kidney infections. The reason is we hardly have time to drink water, let alone go to the bathroom. It's not about us, it's about our patients. They are our priority. Every nurse will tell you that. And for me, it doesn't matter if I go to lunch at 4 in the afternoon or in the evening, whatever you want to call it. As long as my patients have received their chemotherapy safely, I'm good. I'm really good. So as I look into retirement now, I shall definitely miss my nursing routine when the time finally comes. I think it's going to be really hard to walk away. We shall have to wait and see. So I've been very, very fortunate enough to have been able to fulfill my childhood dream. Unfortunately, that long-term financial stability I expected from my nursing career didn't quite materialize. Although I've loved being a nurse. So a few years ago, I realized that if I didn't change anything in my life, I would never be able to retire comfortably or pay off our mortgage and all the things that we want to do, travel or even renovate our house and things like that. So I started my own health and well-being business. That was maybe 5 years ago, alongside my full-time nursing job. And, I'm working very flexibly, very part-time, because I don't have time, to be honest, and I don't think anyone has time, but it's just fitting everything in those nooks and crannies of time. So that's what I've done. And so it's definitely another opportunity for me to help people, because I do love helping people. So, but this is in a completely different way. So through my natural products, as well as mentoring other people to do the same like I'm doing. So I love to help people to feel good and look better in themselves when they look after their health and well-being rather than looking after their illness. So it's better looking after your well-being rather than looking after your illness, definitely. So fast forward 5 years, obviously I've nursed almost 40 years. I decided, that I wanted to say, first I've decided I want to retire now because the time has come. So I have put in my retirement notice, and I've also, that mortgage we were worried about is fully paid for. I've just recently done my kitchen, life is good. I feel very, very grateful and very blessed to be in a position that I am. I've always been grateful for everything that I have, especially now. I'm so grateful for my side hustle. This business is serving me well, and I like helping people as well. And everything's just working very well for me. So I want to leave you with two different quotes. One is from Michael Bernard. He says that nothing new will come into your life until you're grateful for what you already have. And I think it's so important to know. And also Richard Branson says that when someone offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure whether you can do it or not, just say yes. Then you can figure out how to do it later. And I think it's so true. So I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a bit of about my work and contribution. So I will hand over back to Gula. Thank you.
Fantastic, Sheila. Wow, well done. Congratulations on handing in your notice of your retirement.
I know. I can't quite believe that I did it. So I was quite nervous when I handed in my letter, but hey, it's almost done now. I'm just working towards the end of it. But like I say, it's going to be hard to walk away.
Well, definitely, especially because you've dedicated, all your life to it.
Yeah.
It's very hard, and I suppose Tracy will get a similar feeling to that. Yeah, but it's always hard to leave where you have loved, to work. And
yeah.
I mean, okay, in my case, I've been made redundant a couple of times, but still we are in touch, and it's not the company's fault, but it's still hard to leave, and it's still a sad affair. But again, other doors open as well, and even with the retirement, new doors will open. Very nice, very nice. So what we can do now is, because of course we have to hear about Diane. So why don't we get Diane's recording up?
Good afternoon, Sexy at 60 audience, and to all my fellow panelists. I just want to say a warm hello. I am Diane Daniels, and I was not able to be with the group today because I was busy living into overcoming a challenge. I was traveling home from a week away and had every intention of making this current Sexy at 60 edition of the event. And we had a car problem on the way home that caused us to have to pull over to the side of the road, and ended up having to buy a new front tire and find someone to put it on the car. It was a total mess. And this was along I-95 in New Jersey, so you know what the traffic was like. Thankfully, I made it home safely, and I had a great story to use in future editions of preaching that I do, or of other talks that I do, that talks about overcoming challenges. So if you've not heard some of the past Sexy at 60 events, I want to encourage you to check those out. We've had a couple of really, really good ones. And today's episode is about work and contribution. Now, I had to reflect on work and my contributions during work as I got ready to do this session. And you'll see that I don't have my virtual background up. For some strange reason, Zoom has chosen on my account not to be compatible with my hair and my virtual background. When I have the virtual background on, you can't see my hair at all. It's a little bit strange. And so I tried to fix it, but could not get it to work. And so in Sexy at 60 style, I adapted and overcame. I wanted to speak to you from my heart, to talk about my authentic self, about you and your authentic self, and how overcoming challenges like the one I had in traveling back to get home from my vacation, and what I use in my business, a lot of it is overcoming challenges. I was so looking forward to this week ahead. I remembered, Guler, that we were doing a week ahead kind of review. And I was glad that I was going to be back home. Traveling is fun and I love to travel, but it's always nice to get back home. I wanted to talk this week about work and challenges and about how my lifelong habit of writing in a diary and journaling has helped me in my work and in the way I contribute to the world around me. Journaling, or writing in a diary, if you will, has allowed me to express myself freely. No judgment, no fear of retaliation, no restrictions instead of those I put on myself. Now, sometimes in the job that we do, we are not allowed to live into our full and complete selves. We have a job to do. We have a set of responsibilities that we're supposed to accomplish. We have experiences and skill sets that we use on the job, and we're not always able to do exactly what we want to do. But that doesn't mean that your job, your career, has to be a restrictive environment for you forever. So Chris talked about a really good question. She said, what is your passion? What keeps coming up for you? And what can't you let go of? For me, that is writing. I've been writing in a diary since I was 9 years old. It was prompted by the unfortunate loss of my father. I didn't really have another way to pour out my heart, because when you're a kid at 9 years old and you lose someone as significant in your life as a parent, sometimes people don't know what to talk to you about the loss of your parent. They encourage you to get over it. They don't want you spending your days and your nights crying and holding your life up while you miss your parent. To a certain extent, I understand that, because you don't want a child to stay in a sad and lonely and dark place. But when you don't encourage that child, in this case, the little girl that was me, to express their feelings, they bottle them up inside, and that can be self-destructive. There's a concept out there now that I experienced during my last couple of months in seminary. I have now graduated with my Master of Divinity degree, yay me. And one of the things I discovered was the concept of being multi-religious and multi-passionate. Someone who is multi-religious finds worth and dignity and inspiration and education in multiple religious paths, not just one. And someone who is multi-passionate, as I am, finds encouragement and inspiration in multiple ways of being and in ways of working and contributing to the world around you. I want to encourage you to develop your ability to focus. Take one step at a time, because as a multi-passionate person, I've often found myself distracted by things that go across my nose. I'll see something interesting and want to go explore it. Now, in my former position as an information technology professional, it was actually a benefit to me to have multiple things rolling around in my head at the same time. It occasionally made it challenging for me to get projects completed, but I learned how to focus so that I could pay more attention to the thing that was right in front of me, the project that needed to be done, the task that needed to be checked off. The more you exercise that muscle of focus, the better off you'll be. And you'll learn how to do it in such a way that it doesn't restrict or constrict you, but it does tap into your skill set that you've developed for the job or the career or the business that you have. And it also empowers you to do things outside of that job or career or business that feed your soul. And that's so important. Even if your current work is not what calls to your heart and your spirit, you should do your absolute best when you're on the job. After all, you're accepting a paycheck for work that you do. When you want to advance in that job, or even if you're just getting yourself ready to move on to the next thing, doing your absolute best at that job will stand you well in the future. If you can focus and develop your skills so that you are the absolute best employee that you can be, those skills will carry you well as you continue in your life and your work. Leverage your current experiences and be committed to developing new skills to help round out your capabilities. When I was a programmer, I was not used to giving presentations, but we had an opportunity to train a group of people on a new program that we had written as part of the team. So each member of the team took a little bit of the presentation and did it. We were all scared because none of us were public speakers at the time, but by leveraging what we knew, our technical knowledge, and then expanding on our experiences and using our expressive selves, our verbal expression to teach others, we became much more comfortable with talking about our work and our contribution to the team effort. Tracy mentioned integrity, commitment, and dedication as some of the keys that she's found to achieving at work. And I just want to emphatically second that emotion. Being flexible at work and using your integrity means that you're doing your level best at all times. That commitment to your job will stand you well, even if it's not the job you want to keep for the rest of your life. From the very first job you have to the very last job that you have, having a commitment to excellence and wanting to be dedicated to that job speaks well of you as a person, and it will help you along in your career or your business. While you're doing your job, consider what it is you want to do, what calls to your heart and your spirit, and then think and go a little bit deeper about what it is you can't let go of, what keeps coming back up for you. For me, that was journaling and writing in a diary. And I've worked several different jobs during my life, like many of you. I've been a lifeguard through high school and part of college. I was an accounting clerk when I was exploring accounting as a career and realized that was not the career for me. Computer programming was where I found the call of my heart, and I stayed in that curriculum and in that job, that category, for over 20 years. It was a very rewarding career. It let me get into a kind of comfortable situation where I was financially comfortable. And on the surface, I felt comfortable, but I also wanted to stretch and grow. My passion is writing. There comes my diary and my journal, and I love to write stories. And now, because that's always been with me, I am leaning into my writing as the next phase of my career. When you're passionate about what you do, it's no longer work, it's a calling. And you'll find yourself thriving and being encouraged and enjoying that next phase in life, like the rest of us Sexy at 60 ladies. I am Diane Daniels. I am proud and happy to be a part of this Sexy at 60 group. And I hope you'll join us for our next and our future sessions. And if you haven't seen the others, please go back and take a look at them. Thanks so much, Guler, for giving me the opportunity to record this and be a part of the broadcast. And I look forward to being back with the team at our next broadcast. Everybody enjoy your evening, and bless you, Guler, and the rest of the team for carrying on the Sexy at 60 banner. Love you lots. Bye.
Thank you, fantastic Diane. That was an amazing story. And as always, Diane is just so inspirational, and I'm sure everyone liked that. So we are now again at the end of our session 3. It went so quick again. I had a fantastic time. I hope all my guests had a fantastic time. Us Sexy at 60, still thriving. And next week we are going to be covering our stories around health and body. Well, that is going to be very exciting. What are we going to be talking about? What are our stories? Would be fun to listen to. So let's hope we see you next week, and I see my lovely Sexy at 60 ladies next week too. And let's say goodbye for now. Bye for now.